So, is it the 10th of June or is it June 10th? You know, it seems like a tiny detail, but if you mess this one little thing up, you could literally book a flight for the wrong month. Today, we're going to make sure that never, ever happens to you. We are finally settling the great UK versus US date debate.
Okay, let's just jump right into the middle of it. If you see these two dates written out with just numbers, which one is actually correct? The 10th of the 6th or the 6th of the 10th? Go on, have a look. Which one would you pick?
And the answer is, well, they're both right. And that right there is the problem. It's exactly why this is so confusing for so many people. See, depending on whether you're in London or Los Angeles, one of those is perfect and the other one is just wrong. But don't you worry, by the end of this, you're going to be an expert in both.
So let's start with the absolute number one difference, the thing that causes pretty much all of the mix-ups, the order of the day, the month, and the year.
It all really comes down to a different kind of logic. In the UK, and actually in most of the world, the format is super logical. It builds up from the smallest unit to the largest. Day, then month, then year. Simple, right? But over in the US, the month decides to jump to the front of the line. So it's that one little swap, month, day, year, that you've just got to burn into your brain.
Let's look at this with a real birthday. The British way, you'd say it's the 10th June 1994. But the American way is June 10th, 1994. It's the exact same day, but the structure is completely different. If you can remember this one example, honestly, you've got the key to understanding everything else.
Now, getting the order right, that's only half the battle. The next little thing that can trip you up is the type of number you're supposed to use for the day of the month.
So let's do a super quick refresher. You've got your cardinal numbers. Those are your basic counting numbers. 1, 2, 3. Easy. But for dates, what we need are ordinal numbers. They tell us the order or position of something. First, second, third. And that idea of position is what's important here. We're not talking about 10 days. We're talking about the 10th day of the month.
And making them is actually really simple. You just take the number and you stick the right two-letter suffix on the end. So you use ST for numbers ending in 1, like first or 21st. You use ND for numbers ending in 2, and RD for numbers ending in 3. And for pretty much everything else, it's just TH. That's the standard for any date you write down.
So the big rule to remember here is this. Whenever you are writing the date, you always use the ordinal number for the day. It's never June 10, it's always June 10th. It's a small thing, but it makes all the difference in sounding right.
Okay, so you've got the written rules down. Awesome. But what happens when you have to actually say the date out loud? This is where it gets kind of interesting, because what we say isn't always what we write, and this is especially true in British English.
This right here, this is the golden rule for sounding natural. I'm telling you, in British English, there are two little words that just magically appear when you speak a date, even though you almost never write them down, the and of.
Okay, check this out. We write 10th June 1994, but we would say my birthday is on the 10th of June 1994. If you just say 10th June out loud, it can sound a little bit robotic, but adding that invisible V and of, it makes it sound completely natural, like you've been saying it your whole life.
Now, here is a very handy pro tip. This whole the, of rule is a very British thing. In American English, you really don't need it. Saying my birthday is June 10th, 1994 is totally fine and sounds perfectly natural. So that's one less thing for you to worry about.
All right, so we have handled the day and we've handled the month. Let's finish this thing up with the final piece of our puzzle. How do we actually say the year? Turns out there are a couple of different ways to do this. For any year before the year 2000, the rule is just wonderfully simple. All you do is split the four-digit number into two pairs. So 1984 becomes 1984, and 1066 becomes 1066. See? Super easy.
But the moment we cross that millennium into the 2000s, things get a little more complicated. Now, you actually have a couple of choices for how to say the years, and you'll definitely hear both of them being used all the time.
Let's take the year 2008 as an example. Your first option is to say the whole number, 2008. Your second option is to split it, just like we did before, 2008. And notice that we say 08, not 8. We do that just to avoid any confusion with the number 28. Makes sense, right?
And here is one last very important little rule, and this one is specifically for British English. If you decide to go with option 1, saying the full number for years after 2000, you absolutely must include the word and. So it's not 2017, it's 2017. It's a really essential part of the pronunciation.
All right, let's put it all together into your new date writing toolkit. Rule number 1, just remember the order. It's day, month, year for the UK, month, day, year for the US. Rule number 2, always use those ordinal numbers for the day, the first, second, and third. And rule number 3, if you're speaking British English, remember to say those invisible words, the and of.
And there you have it. The Great British versus American date debate is officially settled. So now that you really understand the logic behind both, the British smallest to largest approach versus the American month-first style, I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. Which system do you think is actually more logical?